Have a little pride.
Yeah.
That's what's missing right now in our society.
It is.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. Those things matter.
Yeah. Real quick, Anthony DeStasio, Directive Sales and Fastener Imports at Thasios.
Yes.
That is my. So let's talk about what's wrong with the society.
Well, no. So in terms of business, let's talk a little Fazio.
Okay.
Family-owned business since 1965 in Glassboro. Started out family growing chickens, selling eggs to my own grandmother who lived in Glassboro and grew up in Glassboro. She ended up settling on North Street in Hamilton, but she remembers walking 1.5 miles to the Fazio farm to buy eggs from Mr. and Mrs. Fazio to bring them back to her mother. So it's funny, that circle where, like, my grandmother always told, when I got that job, she's like, I can't believe you're going there. Like, I used to walk there from my house. And now when I go to the poke bowl place to get lunch, that's where my grandmother's house was. And it's not 2 miles or 1.5 miles. It's like 4 miles. She used to walk to get a dozen eggs from Miss Fazio. So they started that business that way. And then he used to buy some junk here and there, put it out in front of the farm and put a price on it. And people used to come by and buy it. And he was a scrapper. And so he did that until now, where we're, a $125 million business in sales a year, and we have 2 locations, 2 just split from us, but we have 2 locations.
That store is unbelievable. That's like a construction worker's dream.
Right. So we're a steel service center, so you can get steel cut, drilled, punched, bent, rolled. We have plasma tables. We have a machine that there's only 6 in the world. It's called the kinetic machine. It can burn, tap, punch, and cut and bevel up to 4-inch thick steel, up to 4-inch holes.
Wow.
All programmed in with the CAD, hit the button, bang.
Why would you need 4-inch thick steel for webbing?
So let's say Salem power plant, the nuclear plant, needs a new lid for one of their containment systems. They have a specific steel that we have to fill in, and then they give us a print, and they need 18 holes drilled in specific spots with tapped holes so they can bolt it into the top. It's crazy stuff, but since you have a machine that only 6 are available in the world, there's some capability. We've gotten jobs from Las Vegas because they're building a pipeline right now from the Hoover Dam to Las Vegas for some, I don't know the exact reasons, but they needed to core down to a certain level. And our machines were the only machines in the country that were able to roll this pipe big enough. So we take a flat plate, like 1-inch thick plate, and we can roll that into a pipe that's 10, 20 foot in diameter.
Fuck.
Then we weld, then we brace the inside, and we tack weld the inside to brace it, and then we weld it. Then we weld carbide tips on the edge of one side, and they turn that into a drill bit that drills into the desert to go down and then turn and then core through.
Holy shit.
So we were one of the only places that could do it. So they went to the machine's website and said, who has this machine?
What is this
It's
machine?
called a Kinetic, Kinetic. You can find it on our website at shopjfi.com.
How big is this thing?
I mean, it's not that big. I mean, the machine itself is probably 40 foot long, but it has 14 different gases hooked up to it to burn different and weld different things. The drill heads, we have every single drill bit in there. It goes from 1/4 inch all the way up to 4-inch diameter holes. Every single drill bit. So you need a 2 9/16 hole. We can drill that accurately.
Wow.
So those are the types of things where when you have those special machines, which everyone says, why are you going to pay over $1 million for a machine? Well, because one job on that machine, if the right person finds you, will pay for that machine.
Oh, yeah.
And now everything after that is gravy. Mm-hmm. And that's the way really Fazio's works. It's like, the market's down right now and everybody's trying to unload surplus steel. We'll go to Alabama and pick up 50 truckloads of steel because the price is right, and we'll sit on it for 20 years. But in 20 years, when we only paid 20 cents a pound and it's worth $4 a pound, we're making a killing. Mm-hmm. And so that's where, and we're not trying to oversell the product. We always want to offer a savings to the customer. We're not trying to gouge the market. It's just, if you buy it right, at some point in history, in the future, it will be worth something. And so that was always the mentality. It's always better to have inventory than to have money in the bank, because you can make more on inventory than you can on interest. Yeah. Don't trust the government, trust people. right? And that's where our mentality's always been. At the end of the year, we're like, oh man, we made a lot of money this year. Let's reinvest that into whether it be new machinery, new training, new equipment, or more inventory. Like when I do fastener imports, I'm in charge of pretty much all of our bolt inventory for both locations in Farmingdale and Glassboro. And
Where are you getting it from?
multiple locations. So like I will get it from Taiwan, I'll get it from China, I'll get it from India, I'll get it from America. If there was an American company,
like the big fabricators in South Jersey, New Jersey,
sure.
Are they using those? Like, does it matter where it's made?
I mean, some jobs require USA, which I also carry from Nucor, or there's a couple suppliers I get. But the problem with with that type of a situation, when they require USA, the job's already bid so high in price that they don't care what the price of the bolts are, right? But from a taxpayer perspective, you should care about that. So like for me, like you're building Route 42, that thing that's been going on for 14 years. If you make it a Buy America job, and I'm all for America, you've now made the taxpayer pay 5 times as much for the same exact bolt.
Is it the same exact?
Because if I send a print and a spec to China, China launches rockets into space. So don't think they can't make good stuff. You think about the
China
dollars.
makes fucked up Nike shirts.
They listen to me. Just let me talk. I mean it. You go to the dollar store, there's plenty of junk China stuff. But don't forget that China can also launch rockets into space. And they're not doing that with paper mache. Okay? So they can make good things. You have to find the right vendors over there, the right manufacturers. We go there once a year as a company. We send somebody from our company, usually a Fazio himself or Jimmy Paulson, who's a Fazio per se, but he's a son-in-law. He went to Canton this year, this Canton Fair. There's everybody from all over the world comes to this place to meet manufacturers. If we bumped into someone and said, hey, you make TC bolts, which as a steel erector, TC bolts are the number one thing you buy. You make TC bolts. And they say, would you like a ride to our factory? And we say, yeah, let's go check out the factory. They put you in a limo. They feed you cake, no liquor, but they feed you cake and they feed you tea. You drive all the way to the factory. You see a real factory. You meet the production manager. You meet the general manager. You meet the director of operations. Then you go to some other places. You show up to a caster factory. One time we went to a caster factory, and it was dirt floor. They never poured the concrete. It was just a literal walls and a roof with dirt floor. Now, their casters were high quality, but we said, probably not a place we want to trust, because when you buy from China, you have to pay 30% up front. So before they even start making your order, you put a 30% deposit down. Now, when they ship it, once it hits the port, you have to pay the balance before they'll ship it from the port to our place. So you've paid 100% before you even see what you're getting. So you better have some faith in the factory you're working with. And most of these companies know that. That's what they're fighting against. And so they put such a production together to show you, hey, we're legit. So once you find these places, if I send them a print, I say, this is the material I want. This is the exact chemical composition I want. This is the exact thread I want. Here's all the CAD drawings. Here's all the prints. These are the American ASTM specifications I require. When they hit the water, when they hit the land, I send one from different lots of the kegs to an independent testing facility. And magically, it's the exact same thing I got from Nucor last week that was made in Indiana. So unfortunately for America, people can make the same shit we make. And in all honesty, at this point, I can get things overseas better than I can get here. And when Trump did that thing the last time he was in office where he raised those tariffs, he was giving American companies an opportunity to lower their price just a little bit and compete with China. And what did they do? And I went and got quotes from all American companies while I was sending out my mill order to China, which is every year I spend about $2 million a year on bolts. All the American companies after the tariff raised their prices 25%, which was the exact amount that the tariff was. So explain to me, so you had an opportunity to pick up $2 million of business from an American company who was willing to pay 10% more to keep it in the U.S. I would have paid 10% more than I would normally pay. And they decided, instead of lowering their price by 10%, which would have got them there, they raised their prices 25%. Now, you want to talk about greed.
Isn't that
That's
kind of,
just
isn't that
insane.
gouging though?
No, because I don't have to buy it from them.
Well, yeah.
It's not a situation where I need milk. Like, this is bolts that I can buy or not buy. And they chose to make their price that, and they think for some reason that they're better. But unfortunately, what they don't understand is that China launches rockets into space. And you can talk all this cheap Chinese shit all you want, but China also makes really good stuff. So if you are willing to put a little investment into your preparation of finding the right factories and also having money to put out, you can really, score in the market. And we're not looking for every order, but the people that know us and use us know that what we have is what we have, and we say what we say we have is. We're not trying to say it's an A325 bolt and give you an A307. Like, it's always is what it is. Mm-hmm. And when you need 10,000 bolts by tomorrow, which no one should ever need because you can't install that many in one day. I don't understand why anyone ever tells me they need them all in one day. But they do this stuff. Oh, we forgot about the bolts. All the steel's getting delivered tomorrow. We got we have a crane there and everything. I said, how many are you installing? You don't need 10,000. But guess what? I have 10,000 in stock. Everyone else says 3-4 days. I'll get them from Nucor. They'll ship them to me. I'll ship them to you. For me, I say, where's your truck? I'll load you right now. And that value really comes in handy when you're trying to convince someone to switch suppliers. Because I don't want to steal business from anyone. I want to earn business. Whenever I send an email, it always says, I look forward to earning your business. Because if I didn't do anything to earn your business, I don't want it. I'm an honest guy. I'm going to give you a fair price. And I'm going to under promise and over deliver. I'm not going to over promise and under deliver. People do that all the time in sales. I'll definitely have it to you tomorrow. Shows up on Friday. That was on Monday. And then all of a sudden you don't hear from them for 2 weeks because they know they screwed up and they don't have any integrity. They don't have any integrity to say, yo, I screwed up. I shouldn't have said that. For me, I say, I'll have it in 2 to 3 days. And then it shows up tomorrow and I call them. I say, yo, I got them bolts for you. You need them? You know what I mean? So you have to learn how to be honest and also set yourself up for success. And most people, we're not saving lives. If you're installing bolts, you're not saving lives. Like, there's nothing that critical. I mean, yes, for jobs and some people's bonuses and stuff like that, it matters. But if you cared about your bonus enough, you would have known you needed those bolts 2 months ago, right? So when you wait till the last minute, for me, you didn't earn your bonus. And I'm not the guy that's going to break my balls just to save your life. Now, if I have what you need and it doesn't hurt me at all, I'll gladly help you. But I'm not jumping through hoops. I have a lot of customers and I have a lot of loyal customers. I'm not going to jump over them to help you when you didn't think about us, you didn't call us, you didn't prepare. And now, on top of you needing it today, you also want a better price than I'm already offering you, which is better than any other supplier's price. Like, these guys, like, everybody that owns a business thinks they can come in and talk to us and be like, well, I'm the owner of the business. And I'm like, my name's Anthony, nice to meet you. Like, I'm happy for you and I'm proud that you got to do it. I'm jealous that I don't own my own business right now. But at the same time, I love working for people that I can trust, and I know every day I wake up, that business is going to be open. I have no worry in my life from now until I retire of me ever walking into that place and them saying, yo, we're out of business. Sorry, you don't have a job anymore. They are way too savvy and way too invested in the right things. The way they make decisions is purely based on what's best for the future of the company. So investment is always, they don't want money in the bank. They want product. They don't want money in the bank. They want new trucks. They want new machines that give us new options to talk to customers.
Well, you can tell when you go there. I mean, a place is fucking loaded.
And here's the thing, too. The new building, the Home Depot style building, that's where I work. That's I won't say my department, but it is my department. An owner has to be a part of every department. And Jimmy Paulson does a great job. He's the son-in-law of the owner in my department. But me and him have worked hand in hand for 13 years. And I was always like the hardware expert. I came from Fastenal, gave me great training. I learned everything I needed to know. But there was never a place I was going to be able to make money. Mm-hmm. They were big on commission, which is great, except that when you have the Revel being built, I'm going to make a ton of sales. And I did. I killed it during Revel. And then all of a sudden the following year, Revel, a helicopter crashes and every Revel executive dies. And now that project's on hold and there's nothing going on in South Jersey. And now you're like, well, the only way you can make commission is if you sell more in June of 2017 than you did in June of 2016. And you're like, well, because we're a growth-based company. So if you hit your growth expectation, your bonus will be huge. But if you don't hit your growth expectation, your bonus gets deducted. So now you get a normal $2,000 a month bonus goes down to $500 or $400, or during Revel, $2,000 bonus turned into a $6,000 bonus, which is incredible.
Right, so if in 2017 you had $1 million in sales by June, you made a commission.
You needed $1 million.
So you get bonuses based on your revenue.
You get bonuses based on your sales, and then they'll deduct or add, which is where your real bonus comes from, because the first bonus is not a high percentage. Your bonus from that point goes to how much did you grow from the year before?
So you're fucked.
So horizontal growth and vertical growth. So how much did you grow from last month, and how much did you grow from month last year to month this year? Right? So they factor both in. And it's this cockamamie calculation that you can't even actually figure out at all. And so now you realize they're doing all these things to make it impossible for you to make money.
Yeah.
Right?
So if the Revel's going up in 2009 or whatever, then in 2000, there's no way you're getting your bonus in 2010.
No shit.
Yeah.
Well, no, then you're going to get the minimum bonus, which at that point you're making like $45,000 a year running a store, which as a general manager with 3 salespeople under you, you shouldn't be making $45,000, right? But you can also make $150,000 if you kill it for a year. But they just want you to kill it, and then they want you to pretty much find the next kill it. But the problem with that in the East Coast for Fastenal, because they're a Midwest-based company. So it's easy for them in the middle of Minnesota to have a store where there's no other competition and no one else can get the special things that they have. Like what Fastenal has. Not everything, but guys from 2 hours away will drive to that Fastenal in Minnesota to buy that stuff to get their tractor back running. In South Jersey, there's 45 friggin' places to go. And that was before Amazon, where now you can just order it and have it next day prime, right? So that's a whole nother thing, where Fazio is now. I'm just took over, I would say 2 years ago, I took over our Amazon business. So now I'm in charge of all of our e-commerce business.
Oh, you guys are
sell on
seller?
Amazon.
You're a seller for
We're a seller on Amazon. We're a seller on eBay, and we have our own website
Isn't
that has
a
a
pain in the
significant.
ass, the Amazon.
I mean, not if you do it right. Not if you do it right. You have to.
Don't you have like a ton of competition? Like, do you have programs in place? Like, I know that there are programs in place for Amazon sellers.
Of course, there's competition, but here's the thing: having the brick and mortar store in South Jersey at Fazio's, where I sell a shitload of Hogan annular cutters and mag drill bits and mag drills. What online retailer is going to go to Hogan and say, "Yo, I need a better price than Fazio's," when I've been buying $500,000 to $1 million worth of Hogan every year for the last 20 years? Or 13, since the store's been open 13 years. So for 13 years, I've done over $1 million of business with Hogan. We're the top 3 in the country. We're top 1 on the East Coast for Hogan distributor. So my value is the rebate I get at the end of the year. I factor into my costs. So as you get bigger with Hogan, they give you a year-end rebate.
Yeah,
so
but
my point is, if a drill costs $1,000 and you sell it on Amazon for $1,500, right? If I get a 8% rebate, I get 8% off of that 1,000. Now my cost is lower. I don't have to sell for $1,500. I can sell for $1,400. So it gives me an opportunity. If I choose to make less money, I have more bullets in my gun than these online retailers. They're stepping in with no warehouse, working out of their mom's garage, drop shipping everything. You can do that all day, but you ain't gonna beat me in the long run.
They do have programs in place, though, for Amazon sellers where they'll keep track of all of your competitors.
Oh, I do that all the time, but I do it better than they do it. Their service.
Than the programs?
Yeah.
No, there's no way.
Their programs are designed to trick you.
I don't know. I've seen it in person.
Listen to me. It's intuitive stuff, but what you have to understand is there's a point behind it.
Okay.
At the end of the day, I'll tell you the story. We were selling Hogan mag drill bits, and we were selling Jancy mag drill bits on Amazon. The Jancy ones were selling so much better because the name on them is Slugger. So everyone in the ironworker market knows, yo, I need a Slugger bit, I need a Slugger bit, I need a Slugger bit. They meant Hogan bits, but they kept saying Slugger because that was the slang term became. So on Amazon, Slugger bits were selling like crazy compared to Hogan. Mm-hmm. Jancy went to Amazon and said, we'll sell direct to you. Amazon used 2 years worth of my sales history to know exactly how many bits they needed. And they bought they offered Jancy a 2-year purchase of like $20 million. And Amazon charges me a fee to sell on there. Whereas if Amazon's selling it themselves, there's no fee. So they have an 18 to 21% advantage over me. So even if Jancy didn't give them a better price, they can beat me by 18%. I can't compete. So Amazon used my seller account to learn what products sold the best, and then went to that vendor, bought direct, and put it into their FBA. So they sold Prime bits, which I was selling Prime too. I send bits to them, they sell a Prime. They used my data, which in our contract, it says they have access to all my data. So they used my data and then undercut. Yeah, but it's not. It's their platform.
Yeah.
Good
stuff fucked up.
Yo, smart. No, smart.
Well, they could just,
they could just let us sell it. They could let us sell it.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. There's someone in Amazon that said, yo, let me figure out what ones we can go to direct and just pay me this.
That's not what I'm talking about, by the way.
And Bezos said, yo, all right, go do it. And he did it.
Yeah.
So my point is, Amazon, if you learn what vendors you can trust, because there's some vendors of mine that won't sell direct to Amazon. Those are the vendors we want to do business with. Those are the vendors that we put all our money in. Mm-hmm. And we reward those vendors because of that. But there's a lot of money on Amazon.
You know the casinos, they can't buy directly from vendors?
Borgata buys directly from me. Bally's buys directly from me. They have accounts with DeStasio. Oh, I can't imagine. Yeah, of course.
So so they have to go through casino, like distribution companies. And so like if Ocean Casino wanted to buy a bunch of gravy from, name a place.
Yeah, Philomena's. All right, good.
Not Philomena's. Like Cento.
Okay, Cento. Yeah, they want to buy Cento.
They can't go to Cento and say...
Italian, bro. Cento.
Cento. They can't go directly to Cento and buy it. They have to go through
a distributor.
Yeah. So like, wouldn't it make sense to put a...
You can't buy beer unless you go to Kramer. If you're a bar or a liquor, so it's the same thing. They can't go to Budweiser and say I want Budweiser kegs.
But Amazon is just like they're kind of doing.
It's their platform.
But the casino,
the casino is a bad decision. That's a bad decision from wherever executives decided to do that. My point is from Amazon. They created a seller marketplace where every person in the U.S. knows it. Mm-hmm. Most people use it, but everyone knows it. And they say, if you want to sell on our platform, we're going to take your data, we're going to undercut you, and we're going to charge you exorbitant fees. But you're still going to make money. And if you don't do it, someone else is going to do it, and you're going to fall behind. Mm-hmm. Now, if you choose to not be in the online market at all, fine. But if you're in the online market and you have your own website and you don't also sell on eBay and Amazon, you will not compete because there are people that trust those two sites more than yours. Now, I have a lot of customers across the country that have found our website, trust us, placed orders, got exactly what they wanted, are happy with it, and continue to use us.
So the programming I was talking about that tracks all of your competitors, I'm talking about a guy I used to know who sold jelly.
Okay.
He had a program. I mean, this is like cheap fucking shit, like jelly, like little jars. Like
I understand.
And I mean, he had a whole warehouse. I mean, he had a whole thing set up because he had this program in place. And what this program did is it tracked everyone who sold anything he sold. So if he was selling jelly, if he was selling potato chips, whatever, cookies, whatever you had.
Yeah.
This program would track every other Amazon seller.
Sure.
And he would price everything 1 penny below.
Correct. So I have automated pricing. It's automated pricing through Amazon.
You have that too?
So
it's not through Amazon. No, he has like an independent.
So my point is that Amazon has that same option for you to do.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so, but my point, they're stealing my data to do it. So at least with him, he's
Wow.
protecting his own data to do it. But for me, I'm putting in there, here's my min, here's my max.
Yeah.
I want to be 3 cents lower than everybody across the entire internet, not just Amazon.
So how come?
And
How come your
Amazon will do
competitor
it.
can't do that?
They can do that. But,
So what do you do
who's
if you're both 3 cents?
Min max wins. So who's got the lowest to min max? So whose lowest price when you set? Let's say we're selling this beer.
Okay.
You say you want $8 a beer to $3 a beer, and you want to be 3 cents lower. And I say I want to be $8 to $2.50.
Okay.
I win because you're just going to get the $3 and you're going to shut off, and I'm going to be at $2.97.
But isn't the marketplace so like, I mean, like, wouldn't you just always at your min?
No, believe it or not, you don't always get to your min because some people look at their costs and say, I can't go lower than that. That's where when I get that 8% rebate from Hogan, I'm able to go 8% lower than my competitor. Right? So that's where that big buy and not being in your mom's basement, sitting in your underwear, working like, Bezos did to start off his business. Like there's people that do dropship businesses on Amazon. They're working out of their mom's basement. I mean, it's fine, but like you can't compete with me.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, how low am I willing to go? I'm willing to make 10% on all my sales. Now that's low for Fazios.
Well, there's
So
people,
if I buy it
willing
for
to
$1,
take
I'm
a
willing.
loss just to get it.
But that's dumb when you work
Yeah.
in your mom's garage because
Yeah.
you're going to eventually be eating peanut butter and jelly.
Oh yeah. They probably are already.
So my point is, like for me, I don't lose anything. I'll just sell it in my store because I have that. The lucky part of me is
Yeah.
I have a
Yep.
store, right? So I either sell it in the store or I move volume. Now, Simpson Strong Tie, anchor company. Wood connector building decks and stuff. They also have concrete anchors. They had a falling out with Home Depot, and they had multiple millions of dollars of inventory that they had to get rid of off their books. And whatever the deal was with Home Depot, I guess they got compensated for Home Depot like reneging on their deal. So they didn't really need that much. They gave us like a discount that was completely ridiculous. And we said, fine, we'll take it all. And they're like, take it all. And I'm like, yeah, I'll take it all. And they're like, where do you want it? I was like, ship it to Glassboro. And we've been selling that on Amazon so successfully that whatever millions of dollars it was, let's just set, and there's not a real number, but let's just say we bought $1 million of Simpson inventory. We've probably sold $5 million in revenue already. And we're not even through it at all.
Wow.
We probably have another 2 years of inventory.
Wow. Are you selling it for like way less than
No,
what
we're
like
selling
Home
it
Depot
at
would?
market value. Yeah, a little less than market value. Like something where it catches someone's eye. Like if a box of anchors was normally $35 at Home Depot or any other supplier for that matter, we're selling it for $28.
Did you reach out
But
to
when
like
you
any
buy-
of these big contractors and say, yo, dude, I just got a shitload of anchors?
No, because they don't buy enough. You have to understand what kind of volume I bought. Like I'm buying skids like at a level where like the biggest contractor using anchors, which I have one of in South Jersey. I won't use their name, but great business, super successful, super growth. They use 3 different anchors excessively and happened to be that 2 of them were in that surplus buy. I went from selling anchors to them where I was only making like $3 a box to making like $15 a box and lowering their price. So I said to them like, yo, I can lower your price on these, but you got to lock it in you have to tell me you're going to buy these for 5 years. And they said, no problem. And they signed the fucking contract. But my point is I'm saving them a shitload of money and now I'm actually making more money. And that was all because I was willing to take money out of my bank account. Well, not mine, but my company's, and put it into this investment. And then we said, oh, I wonder if these are worth anything on Amazon. Well, here's the problem with that, though. There is some labor involved in that because with Amazon, you have to barcode it properly. You have to package it properly so that it doesn't get damaged because they don't take care of your product. And when they lose your product or they damage your product, no, but a box of anchors that falls off a counter, dumps on the floor. Well, guess what the Amazon does with it? They sweep it up into a trash bin and they say, oh, we lost it. Too bad. You lose it. And they don't give you the money. Yeah. They say we lost it. They say it was a warehouse incident, right? A customer buys a box of anchors, uses 1 out of 25 and ships it back because it's a prime order and prime customers get to do whatever they friggin' want, right? Customers always right.
Not anymore.
No, well, it still hurts. It's the seller's still in the minority in those wins and losses. Someone can use 1 or 2 anchors and send the box back and say it was defective. Well, when that comes back and they put it on the scale and they say it's not the same weight, they just trash it and they tell us it was a defective product. I have to eat that. So you have to be willing to deal with Amazon's bullshit. And they do have some bullshit. But in terms of being access to a global, when I say global, I mean global market, I don't even open myself up to Mexico, Canada, Europe. I could, but we haven't gotten to that point where we want to do that. We're very happy with our controlled growth. And that's really important in terms of business. Controlled growth is important. You don't want to go from $1 million business to a $100 million business in 3 years. You can't handle it. You have no idea what to do. The change in that business is just so much, you have no idea. So our controlled growth is really important, and we're happy with our success. So these are the things where when someone comes to us and says, yo, we screwed up, we ordered the wrong size of something, we have 14,000 of these things, do you want them? Well, yeah, I want them, but like, what'd you pay for them? 20 cents? All right, I'll give you 30 cents. Well, the market value on it's $1.50. Well, now I just bought it for 30 cents. So now I can sell it for $1.20, quadruple my money, and be 30 cents cheaper than everybody else. And that's our mentality. It's like pass savings to the customer, always, but make sure you buy it right. If you buy it right, you're always going to win. And have faith that what you're buying is something that's not going to go out of style. Bolts never change.
Yeah, no, them anchor bolts, dude.
That's what I'm saying. People be anchoring in the concrete for the rest of their lives. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And especially with, the new technologies they're coming out with cracked concrete and seismic stuff for California and stuff like that. They're just so effective and useful that you'll never. Those are not, as long as they're in a conditioned space, which our warehouse is a conditioned space. We have 200,000 square foot under roof. We have plenty of room. We'll build more pallet rack if we have to. We'll do whatever we have to do. But we're not going to pass up something that we know over time will 5-10 times our money. It may take 20 years, but the owner doesn't care, because it's really him 5 times or 10 times in money for his grandson, who will be in his position at that time. He's done. He's made his money. He's happy.
Chris the guy who was selling eggs?
No, Chris's dad was selling eggs. Joe Fazio was selling eggs. Chris is Joe Fazio's son.
Okay.
So, yeah, Chris is a very, very good-hearted dude.
That place is unbelievable.
It's cool. It's a cool place. And you know what? The coolest part is that they kept the old place just how it was. So you can still go over there and buy, something from 1970. You have a tractor from 1970 and you need a part that they don't make anymore. You might find it if you wander around for 2 hours at Fazio's. And that's the coolest. It's cool. There's drill presses there from 1962 that's still probably tougher and better built than anything you could buy today on the market. All you do is need an electrician to figure out how to wire it.
Yeah.
Right? And some of the machines over there are crazy that you can find. It's such an interesting place because our customer base is so diverse. We never have a slow time because we deal with plumbers, we deal with electricians, we deal with steel erection, we deal with concrete guys, we deal with excavators, we deal with mechanical contractors. So if the steel erection business is going down, but the HVAC business is going up because all the steel's already built and now they're doing the interior, we still get business. It's different business, but we still get business, right? And then when that business slows back the other way, we have all of them because everybody needs metal and hardware. So it's an interesting thing because I came from a place that evaluated the market as a nationwide market, and you saw a bell curve where March is really busy and then it cuts down, and then September is really busy and then it cuts down. And Fazio's, that's a bell curve like this. Fazio's is like this all the time. And then next year, instead of it being like this, it's the next level up and still flat. We just keep gaining just a little bit of market share because we keep adding new machines.
Sounds awesome, man. And
it's fun to
just talking to you. It sounds like they got the right people.
Well, listen. The hardest part is that it's a family-owned business.
I can't believe this is like your job description.
That's
insane.
Here's the best part.
Yeah.
If you ask
You're
the owners,
asked
the owners what my job description was, they would laugh because we don't have job descriptions. Right. I know what I do, and I use a job description because I'm a professional and I need an email to send to people.
Right.
But at Fazio's, if they told me, yo, there's a forklift stuck out in the back, and there's nobody else that can go figure this out, you got to go do that. I would be jumping on a golf cart and then go figure out how to fucking move a forklift out of a hole, right? If they told me, yo, the toilet's clogged in the back and there's nobody else to do it, we need you to go figure it out, I got to go figure it out, right? So we don't have job descriptions. We just work together. And yeah, you have responsibilities and those are your real job descriptions. But at any moment of any day, I could be doing anything. And that's why I think I'm still there, because there's not many people that can work there that long, because it is a family-run business, and there's some times where you have to learn how to bite your tongue, or take a lashing when you had nothing to do with what you're getting yelled at for.
Are you you're good at, you can do that?
I never used to be able to do that, but at this job, because of how, I'm really good at this job. So it would be foolish of me at this point in my life to not utilize the skills I have. And I don't think they could be used any better anywhere else without commission-based sales. And I'm not trying to live that life because it is too stressful. And I don't think that I couldn't be successful doing it. I think I can make more money being I can make a ton more money being in a commission sales job. But the peace of mind having kids and a house and a mortgage and a wife and stepkids, you know, a peace of mind knowing that every day for as long as I live, as long as I'm honest and I don't steal from this company, I will always have a job and it will always be open, is so calming in my soul that I don't know that I need to look anywhere else, right?
Yeah.
So that's the part where I think you got to choose what kind of life you want. And like people say, you know, you should live to work or work to live, on that whole conversation. And it's like, well, I work so that I can live because I have so many passions outside of work. But while I'm there are days I absolutely hate my job and there are days that I absolutely love it. And I think that you would find that anywhere you go, no matter how much you loved it, there's days that you're not going to like it. And so for me, the peace of mind of security, the ability to look the owner in the face and say, yo, I need this from you. And know that you're talking to the guy that can say yes or no, instead of being in a corporate structure where you don't even know if it gets to the person that you want to. Your manager might say, yeah, I'll pass it on, and you don't even know. And they say, oh, the manager said no. Nobody even looked at your request, right? So the ability to look Chris in the face and say, yo, I really need some help right now, and knowing that he's a good dude is enough for me to stick with him. You know what I mean? And trust me, they do very well. But they do very well because they take care of people. And their mentality truly is, Chris told me once, I'd rather someone come here and be able to buy 3 things than buy 1 thing. So just because you can sell that piece of all thread for $8, I want you to sell it for $6, because we don't need to make the extra $2, and that guy can use that $2 to buy something else. And that's stuck with me forever. Like, that's not greedy, right? That's the opposite of what we were talking about with those imports. Like, Trump gave American companies an opportunity to compete and they chose not to, right? It would be really nice for Fazios to only have American-made bolts. And we were willing to pay more to do that.
What's like your biggest buy? What's the biggest thing? What do you buy the most of?
Steel.
Steel.
I don't buy steel, but the company,
just
we buy
raw
steel. I mean, I-beams, channel, angle, round bar, plate.
Do they?
We buy from mill. We buy from surplus. We buy.
Have they talked about like fabricating their own bolts?
No, that's not worth it.
Nah.
That's a whole business in itself.
Yeah.
And the precision involved in that, we would need to hire very specific people, and it wouldn't be a value of enough because we don't use enough to just make it for ourselves. So now we'd have to also sell to other people.
I mean, anything like a beam, like beams. Do you make the beams?
No, we buy beams and then we cut, weld, and punch them or drill them. Like we fabricate beams. We have a 5-step machine that literally has 20 robotic arms where a beam will come through for a house, and it needs holes in certain spots for all these columns, right? And you plug the print in, the beam feeds in to a machine. This machine's in this whole building. All these robot arms come in, cut, bevel, drill all the holes in the exact spots, and it shoots out 10 minutes later. So instead of having one guy sitting there with a mag drill, we have a machine. We bought that last year. Another machine we bought that's just like such an incredible.
Do they use that every day?
At least, I mean, it not all day every day, but it is run. It's running. Yeah, absolutely. If you wanted to come,
can you take a video of it?
Absolutely, I have them.
This one is not supposed to stop. It should go all the way around in one cut. Because it's not dropping anything. It's not like this. It's going to start at the bottom and come around to the bottom. Something. I don't know. I really don't know.
Just start at the bottom and come back around.
Well, that moves a lot faster than that one out in Pennsylvania. Remember that one we were watching out there? That was like watching paint dry. Watching that.
A lot faster than my welder.
I mean, these things are really cool things that people don't even know.
Cool shit.
Don't even know that we have. And if anybody ever wants to come check them out, I can give you a tour at any time. I mean, you come over, I'll show you whatever you want. I mean, it's free reign. And it's really, in terms of the construction industry, it's really cool shit.
It's really cool shit.
It's cool shit.
It is.
Like, you know, I could be working at, you know, the ShopRite and managing an entire ShopRite and maybe make a couple dollars more. But I'm working with steel and tools and bolts. And I mean, it's a man's job. Like, it's a cool job. You know
Dude,
what I mean?
you walk around that place and you see shit that you don't even think
you didn't even know existed. You don't and now all of a sudden you have a whole project.
Like,
you have a whole project in your house that you didn't know you had, and now your wife's like the first. When I was with my first wife, I used to started at Fazio's, and the first 3 weeks I came home with half a paycheck, and she's like, "What are you doing?" This is when Fazio's was literally printing us paychecks. There was no direct deposit, and this was 2010, so it wasn't like that Stone Age. I would go to TD Bank on my lunch, because they give you the paychecks at lunch, cash it, come back, and spend half my paycheck at Fazio's, because every time I saw something, I was like, oh, I could use that. Oh, I want that.
Yeah.
And she's like, yo, getting a new job that made you more money is not worth it if you're going to spend all of it at the company. And I'm like, well, I'm getting a discount. And they're like, she's like, no, dude, like, your paycheck's supposed to be at friggin' $1,500 and it's friggin' $750. Like, you get to pay bills. So, yeah, it's a place that can get you in a lot of friggin' trouble. Every dude that comes in is like, oh, this is like a man's candy store. And I'm like, no, it's just a man's hardware store. But it's not a Home Depot. If you come in there to fix your screen door, I can't help you.
Yeah.
But if you want to raise the steps, your concrete steps, if you need to raise your concrete steps that are sinking, now you come to the right place. Let's go work. Let's get dirty. Like, I ain't gonna be able to help you hang a poster or you know, some kind of friggin' shelf in your master bedroom.
Well, they can't help you at Home Depot with any.
No, but my point is they have the product at least. I don't even have that. I'm not messing with that kind of shit. Listen, I don't need Joe Flip-Flop walking in the door. I want the guy that's doing real work. I want the guy that has 2 trucks on the road. He's an owner-operator. And when he comes in at Friday at 3 o'clock, he's working on Saturday morning. His hands are dirty as hell. And he's like, I need 45 bolts, this and that. And he knows exactly what he needs because he has a big job tomorrow that he's going to work himself to do. And he knows that he's at the place where he's saving the most money and knows that he can get in and out the quickest. Because we've built a place where you don't go to a counter and order bolts. You don't go to a counter and order hardware. The steel yard, you got to order at the counter. But hardware, you can walk in with a big blue cart and walk out of there with 500 pounds on a cart and push it out to your truck and be on your way. If you know what you need, you can get in and out of that place in 6 minutes. I mean, there's value to that for the guy that's hustling, right? And that's the kind of guys we're looking for as customers. I don't need the big company that needs to issue me a PO that takes 3 days for $150. I don't need that customer. I'll do that business, but I don't need you. I want the guy that's hustling because I know that he values the same things we value. And when you find like-minded customers like that, that's when you're most successable.
All right, let me take a piss real quick.
You're good.
Well, like sometimes,
I do business.
yeah, we were looking for something, and I was like, why don't you try Fazio's?
You should call me.
It was some kind of like frame. It was some kind of like something for like.
I promise you.
It was. It might have been like cast iron, like a inlet head. It might have been something like an inlet head or something like. Do you guys have that?
I mean, sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know.
We could definitely fabricate it.
I forget what the fuck he said it was. You could fabricate an inlet head
Bro, we can fabricate anything.
with cast iron?
We have the capability of pretty much doing anything. It's whether we want to or not. So sometimes if we have a lot of work on the machines, we don't need it. We're not going to do it. If we're slow and you give us something difficult, we're like, all right, let's play around with it and see if we can do it. I mean, we have the capability pretty
How
much.
do you fabricate stuff made out of cast iron?
It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not
You got to
easy.
bend it?
It's hard to bend because it's so brittle.
Or you got to cut it out of like
Yeah,
a
you
solid.
got to cut it out of big piece.
What
Burn
kind of?
it. You burn it.
All right, so what kind of is it? Like a CAD machine, like kind of a 3D printer type of a thing where you could
For
put the
that
material in.
specifically?
Yeah.
I mean, it would depend on what we're looking at specifically, honestly.
Uh-huh.
But there are ways to weld cast easily. So if we got pieces of cast, like if it wasn't a rounded part, we could do it easy because you can weld cast very easily with what we have. You just need the right welding
What is it?
materials.
I mean, it's
and you
kind of
need
round a little bit.
right, but so my point is with the rounded stuff, it needs to be cast in a mold.
Okay.
But if it's not a rounded part and you have angles, we can weld that shit out of cast plate. So I mean, you're fine. It's
You guys,
not easy.
when I was running trucks, you guys fabricated a sheet of metal for me.
Yeah. Listen,
I thought I said that.
I've made. You know how many fire pits I've made for all the
Really?
Hawks coaches? Yeah, Hosco got a fire pit off of me. You know, big 3-foot circular, like a piece of pipe, like a thick piece of pipe that we just cut a sliver off of. So it's like a 14-inch piece. So now it's just a 14-inch high, 3-foot diameter. Fucking awesome.
How heavy is that fucking thing?
Not light, but my little mini pickup can still get it home. You know, it's not the end of the world. I mean, I've brought some heavy stuff home on my truck every once in a while, and I shouldn't because it's personal.
Yeah.
So I'm putting some strain on things that I really shouldn't because if it goes bad, I got to pay for the damage. But you know, my neighbors ask me for stuff. Mike at the river. I live in Sweetwater. I live 2 doors from the river deck, and Mike, the owner of the river deck, calls me all the time. Fridays at 3:45, like, yo, can you cut and punch and bend this piece for the kitchen? It's about to end. And I'm like, bro, I got 15 minutes. And I get it done. And we stay a little late and we get it done. But I'll do those favors for him because a couple months ago, I said, yo, I got a tree in my backyard that's about to fall in the street and I don't want it to fall on your wife's friggin' nice-ass Mercedes. Is there any machines you have that can help me get up there? I got the chainsaw. And he didn't respond to me. The next day, he sends me a picture. The tree's gone. So my point is, like, those small favors you do for people really pay off. And knowing people is life. Yeah. And how you treat people really determines whether you're going to benefit from that relationship or if you're going to suffer for it. Because sometimes you run into a situation where you really need help and you screwed somebody over. And they're the one that can solve the problem. Well, you screwed them over. So you know what? The universe is telling you you deserve whatever you're about to get. Now, if you were to treat that person with respect and help whenever you had that interaction, right now you'd be out of fucking trouble. So what energy you put out is what energy you get back. And if you live your life by that, promise you're going to be a much more successful and happy person and a much more peaceful person. You know, I live a strange dichotomy because I'm a hippie, but I'm also a football coach.
You're a hippie.
So like, I'm a hippie.
Yeah, you are.
I'm a straight hippie, and that's the truth of the matter. I'm a hippie, but I'm a football coach. So like, I go back and forth, but you can't have both, right? Like you can't be both. And I challenge that because even hippies have some anger in them, right? So you need an outlet for that.
Yeah, look at Charles Manson was a hippie.
I'm just saying you need an outlet for. I mean, I'm not trying to kill people or eat people.
I'm just saying.
But
one example.
If you have an outlet for your anger that's positive, you go home after practice and you're better to your family. So I go out with these kids and maybe I yell at them a little bit. Now it's not in a negative way, but it's like yo, get your ass in gear. Yo, why you being lazy? Yo, I just told you to step with your left foot. Now you're stepping with your right foot. Are you even focused at all? Right? These are not me being mean. It's me asking questions and me being aggressive about it because I want them to understand I'm volunteering my time to help you, but this team needs you to do what I'm asking you to do. I'm never going to ask you to do something unreasonable, but like I want you to get better. So step with your friggin' left foot. and
Yeah.
shut up.
And they're 7th and 8th grade too.
But
It's
my
a-
point is
yeah,
that anger
yeah.
that everyone sees as me being this angry coach. I'm not angry. I'm passionate. And I'm getting my anger out in that passionate way positively so that the rest of my life, I can go home and be an awesome husband, an awesome dad, an awesome stepdad, right? An awesome neighbor. Like, I want that peace in my soul. So that's the hippie part of me. So I use football for 3.5 months of the year to get out everything that happens in the year. And sometimes it can be excessive, but never in a mean way. I'm never demeaning a kid. I'm saying, yo, we're teaching more than football here. This is character building. This is how you're going to be a boy to a young man. And the way you just behaved is not a young man. So you need to give me 10 push-ups and then you need to run a lap. And when you get back, I want a new attitude on you. And people are like, why are you so mean to him? And I'm like, I was just as nice as I could.
That sounded really nice, actually.
No, but when you're yelling it, it's not as nice.
Yeah, yeah.
And the way my body language is, it's aggressive as fuck. But I mean it when I say, yo, I'm here to help you, but you ain't doing nothing to work with me right now.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had some really good success in Hawks with bad kids that were selling weed in middle school. That after 3 weeks, they're like, you'll never get him to get in line. And then all of a sudden, this bad kid needed discipline. Now he's craving the discipline. Next thing you know, he's the most impactful player on your team, and he becomes a leader on the team. Stops selling weed. His grades go up, and 3 years later, when he's in high school, he comes up to you after practice in Hawks. He just came from a high school practice, and he goes, Coach, I just want to thank you. My whole life changed after 8th grade Hawks. And you say, that's why I do this. Because everyone's like, why do you coach kids that aren't even your own kids? You have a 2-year-old boy. Why are you coaching 13-year-olds? You're putting all this time into kids that are not yours. You're missing your kids' bedtime. And I said, because the coaches that coached me made me who I am. And I can never be more thankful for Coach Silvestri and Coach Federico. Those two men made me who I am today. And I'm really proud of who I am today. And I think this generation, and this is where we're going to get to, this generation needs more people like Coach Silvestri and Coach Federico.
Yeah.
And Coach Federico told me this year, because there was a moment where we had some problems with some parents. And I said, Coach, if I'm too much of a problem, don't feel bad. Just tell me I can't be on the staff anymore. And he said, Aunt, why do you think I keep you around? And I said, I have no idea. He said, because you're the only one that still coaches like me. And that was the best compliment I could have ever gotten from that man, because I've idolized him my whole life. Because every decision I've made that's a major decision in life, I've thought about, like, what would Coach Federico do? Now, some things I do maybe don't align completely with Coach Federico because I'm a little bit of a hippie. But in terms of how to treat people and how to approach life, we're on the same page. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, I think it's important to have people like that. And I think right now there's not many people like that. There's not many parents like that. And so I'm writing a book about...
Yeah, I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
So you talk about, like, the using football as an outlet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, does that book, do you find it, you say you're 75% of the way through this book. Do you find that that's, like, kind of an outlet?
The book or the football?
Just writing.
Well, sure. Now, what I would say is I'm more of a math guy than an English guy. So, like, writing and reading isn't, like, really up my alley. Now, I will jump into reading if it's something that really interests me. Like, history is a big thing. Like, I love reading about political history and world history and stuff like that, because I believe that knowing how things went down throughout history really gives you a good perspective on how to approach the next thing. So I like to get perspectives from both sides of the aisle, both sides of countries. Like we have no idea what's been going on in Russia for the last 1,000 years, right? Like we're a 200 and something year old country. Like they've been around forever. We don't know their interaction with the Ukraine. Like we think we do, but you don't know that history the way they know it. And so for us to look at it, we say, oh, this is terrible what's going on over there. And I say, it absolutely is. But we don't have any right to know the depths with which this comes from. Mm-hmm. And so to pretend that you do is foolish. And so know your place and know your knowledge. Like if you don't know enough about it, don't just use the common present day data because you don't even know if that data is real anyway, right? So my point is with all that, like, you know, reading and writing is a great outlet for me, but I don't find that there's enough things that interest me to let me do that long enough. I'm more of a music guy. So my outlet with that is music. I'm obsessed with seeing live music. You can send me an artist that I've never heard of before and I can listen to them on Spotify, but I don't care so much about how good they are on Spotify until I see them live. And I give every band a chance to sell me live. When I go see you live, I don't want to hear what your album sounds like. I want to hear that you give a fuck about your music so much that you sucked me in. I don't want it to sound like your album. I want it to sound worse or better, but at least I want to feel the passion that's coming from you, from that band, right? And so I've really put a lot of effort into, in my life, giving bands a chance that I didn't like their album and giving bands and cutting bands off that I loved their album and then went to see them live and I was so unimpressed. Kings of Leon. I saw at Bonnaroo 2010. Okay, but my point is there were a couple of tracks that were fun. It was cool. We're there at the music festival. We're going to go check them out. They're a headliner, right? So we go check them out. And it was almost as if they were annoyed that they had to play the main stage of Bonnaroo, which most artists, it's like an honor and it's this incredible experience. And they were just lifeless musicians playing the notes with no passion whatsoever. And from that moment on, I've never listened to them again. And then I've seen other bands that I thought I hated. And like the Alabama Shakes was a band the same year. And they had this real sassy black lead singer girl who some of her songs were good, some of them I didn't love that much. And when I saw her sing and heard her sing live, her voice like literally transcended through me. And I was like, oh my God, I'm sucked into this show. And so from now on, I throw one of their songs on a playlist here or there, and they're a part of my life now. So that's my outlet, not so much reading and writing. But this book I'm not doing for the outlet. I'm doing it because it's so critical to what we're dealing with right now. And I feel like I have a very unique perspective.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So the title is Justice for Study Hall. And I'm not going to get into the specifics of why, but if you read the book, you'll know. I have a unique perspective on the digital impact of kids throughout the last 15 years because I coached Hawks. So I've coached 12, 13, and 14-year-olds for 15 years. And I've seen what 2009 middle school boys were like, and I've seen what 2024 middle school boys are like. And although obviously the world changes and society changes, the biggest change is that they have this supercomputer in their pocket with access to absolutely anything with very little restrictions. Even if their parents put restrictions, it's very easy to circumvent them, or they can just look on their friend's phone who doesn't have the restrictions. And so you used to have a couple influences when you were in middle school. You had a couple influences. You had your parents, maybe you had church, maybe you had teachers, and maybe you had coaches, and then you had friends. So you had five influences. Well, now you have those 5 influences, or maybe 4 because church is probably gone, right? Because we've lost that in society. So we have 4 influences left. And then there's 72 influences in their pocket that they see more than the other 4 that actually matter. So if your feed on TikTok as an 8th grader is feeding you pranks and you know, maybe some slutty stuff, some sexy stuff, and maybe some not doing homework and being a shithead, and there's all these reels of all this stuff all the time. Do you think that a 13-year-old's developing brain can battle 72 different influences over their moms or dad saying, yo, get off the phone, or teacher saying, yo, be nicer to your classmates, or your coach saying, yo, commit to the team, be more disciplined? 4 influences, they hardly ever talk to the kids. 72 influences, they're in their pocket and access to them all day. You can't win the battle. you're not raising your kid anymore. The phone is. And the worst part is, you as the parent gave them that access. And I know that it's hard as a parent to say no because they're the only one in their class that doesn't have the phone. And that's an impossible thing to fight in your soul because you're like, I'm literally ostracizing my kid. My kid's not going to have any friends. He's not involved in any of the fun stuff, the good stuff that comes with the contact with the phone. He's not involved in because I'm trying to protect him from all the other stuff, right? So my son had his phone for a long time. Had a phone at 10 years old because we wanted to get in touch with him when he got off the bus and he was going to be alone for 2 hours.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, how do you like what do you do about that? Like, you want to get in touch with him.
What happened when I was a kid?
Yeah, it's different.
No, it's not. What happened when I was a kid?
I
got off the bus. I got off the bus after school, and where'd I go? To my house, because that's where I was supposed to be. And when my mom got home at 5:30, where was I supposed to be?
Okay,
where was I supposed to be? In my house. So if I wanted to go play in the neighborhood and play wiffle ball at 3:30, I wrote a note and put it on the counter that said, I'm playing wiffle ball at the Police's. Okay?
Yeah.
So don't tell me you need to know where your kid is at all times.
Just listen. Right, the kids aren't the only ones being affected by it, right? The parents are too. Well, you are too. I am too.
I believe all of us are being manipulated by our friends. Right. Absolutely.
So, I mean, don't you think that a piece of it is the parents just really want their kid in their pocket at all time?
That's fine, but I also think that that's inappropriate because you're not letting your kid develop on their own.
I agree.
Like I don't need to hover over my kid. I don't need to tell him who he can and can't be friends with. If there comes a point where I think you're interacting with someone that I really think is bad news, I'm going to tell you, yo, it's time to cut that person off. But for the most part, I tell my son, manage your own relationships. If you have a problem with one of your friends, resolve it or cut them off. But don't involve me because I'm not the police of your relationships. Now, if I see something happening that I don't approve of or I think is inappropriate and he's being deceitful, that's a different story. That's a different parenting issue. But my parents had no idea if I got in a fight with someone or if I broke up with my girlfriend. No idea. And if me and you got in an argument in middle school, we got on the buses, we went back to our houses. We didn't talk to each other until the next morning. Well, we both cooled off. We both had our night. We got to school the next day and we said, yo, I'm sorry about that. Yeah. Now they're talking shit to each other through text message or Snapchat for freaking 14 hours before they go to school the next day. Now all of a sudden they want to fight each other before school starts because they've escalated it because they have contact that we never had before. Right? Now I'm not saying that the contact's bad because some of that contact is good. That interaction with people. Facebook was created to connect people, and what it ended up doing was dividing people because it became such a powerful tool. And what I'm saying with this is like, I don't need to know where my son is all the time because I know where he is. He's at school and then he's supposed to go home. And if he's not home, that's an issue with me and him. Why didn't you go home? Where were you? And if he's smart, he'll go do something stupid and still get home before he gets caught. And I don't give a shit because that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to do some bad things and I'm not supposed to find out about them. That's how you learn how to deal with life. My dad doesn't know half of the shit I did in college. Thank God. But I learned my lessons. I had my fun. I mean, trust me, I got my rocks off. I mean, I had the best time ever. But my dad shouldn't know about it. He shouldn't have my location tracked to know that I'm at some stupid strip club. Like, these are the things where like I think we're hovering with our kids to a point where they're not able to develop properly. And the phone is impacting their development because they're getting them at such early ages because parents are like, I need to know where he is. If there's a school shooting, I need to talk to my kid while the shooting's going on. Well, guess what? You're not going to talk to him because he's either going to be running or hiding. And there's nothing you can do from ML Ruperton's office. And I don't mean that as ML Ruperton. I'm just saying, like, there's nothing you can do. So what do you need to contact him for? I'm sorry, but you don't. We all grew up without that. I went to college without a cell phone.
Well, I'm
older than you, but I went to college without a cell phone. My life was fun. We wrote where we were for our dorm mates on a whiteboard on our door. Or an AOL away message on Instant Messenger. Okay, that was it. Like out for the night or at this party.
BRB.
BRB. Or shower, whatever it was, right? Like you did what you did. you don't need to be on
I
top of
wonder,
people so much.
So yours is like, yeah, it's having a big impact on the kids, but it's really the parents that are.
My point is, I have I wrote a bunch of short stories.
Cool. Well, I was going to ask you about that too.
Yeah, so it's a bunch of short stories that are cautionary tales. They are based on real life. I don't use anybody's names. I don't use the specific. Maybe I change some specifics just so that it's not so obvious. But these are real experiences that I believe are proof that we need to completely revamp how we look at giving kids technology. Because I don't believe that they need to be shielded from it completely, because it is part of the world and they need to be good at it. But I don't think that they're mature enough to have the power that that thing provides. And it is influencing their development in such a negative way that I believe in 2009, I could call a play in the huddle at practice and look everyone, and everyone would look me in the eye as a coach. And in 2024, half of the kids can't look me in the eye. And I'm convinced I would call a play better if everyone had their phone on them and I texted the play to them. I'm convinced that that would be a more effective way to call a play. And that is scary as hell when these kids have to be employees of me at Fazio's.
Yeah.
Or if these kids have to be someone I deal with on a more responsible level.
Are there diamonds in the rough?
Of course there are.
Is it more than just a diamond in the rough?
No, yeah. There's 10% of kids that are still good, but they're still being influenced by the phone. So they're good because their parents are strict. My point is their parents are strict. So they're good at showing you that they're responsible or that they're respectful, even if they're not respectful.
Well, that's what you said they're supposed to do.
Right. So I don't care what you actually think, but when you're in front of me, you're going to say yes, sir, no, sir. Or you're going to say yes, coach, no, coach. Right? Then there's kids that just don't do it because they're not required to do it at home. Right? So like me calling Policey, I would go to Police's house. I'd say, hi, Mr. Policey. I wouldn't say, yo, what's up, Mike? Like my kids' friends are like, what's up, Aunt? I'm like, I'm going to beat your ass right now. My name is not Aunt. First of all, if you're on Hawks, my name is Coach, and that is it. Now, all them kids don't play. They all say Coach. But there's some kids that are like, Anthony, can I have a drink with kids sleeping over? And it's nice and it's fine. And I do that. I let my kids call my friends by their first name. It's such a different thing than when I grew up, though. Like I didn't even know half of my friends' parents' first names, right? Like didn't even know them. It was Mr. Walker and Mrs. Walker. I had no idea what their first names were. When I finally knew their first names, I was like, oh my God, like I didn't know that was your first name. That's terrible. But that's the difference. So I have these short stories I've compiled that have all interactions with me over the years, but mainly in the last 2 years, that are just so eye-opening as to why it is essential that if you give your kids this power, that you need to A, limit it, B, monitor it, and C, at any point that you see behavioral changes in your kid that you don't like, remove it. Not limit, remove it. I removed my son's phone for 2 months during football season, and he is a completely different human being right now. He asked me how he could get his phone back. His mother was asking me, my ex-wife, how can he get his phone back? And I said, you'll pry it from my dead corpse. He will never get it back. And in my house, my new wife and my stepkids all mock me because he has it back now. And you said you would have to pry it from your dead corpse. And I said, I was serious about that, but I'm living in a co-parenting world. And honestly, I asked my son to do very specific things to get it back. And they were not easy. And he did them, and he continues to do them. So as long as his character continues to grow in terms of positive character that I'm proud of, he can have his phone. But he has very, very strict restrictions. I'm checking it very regularly. And if he breaks any rule at any point, he knows he's not getting it back till he's 18 years old, and he will have a flip phone that can only call for the next 6 years. And I'm not kidding about that. Because when I tell you, you're not allowed to delete a text message from your phone, I need you to believe me, because when I tell you don't drive drunk with my truck, when you are of age to drive, I need to believe that you understand and that you will listen to me. And if you're not going to listen to me about deleting a text message, you're not going to listen to me about driving drunk. And I don't care if you get drunk, but I sure fucking care that you didn't call me to pick you up. So I have to believe that you understand when I tell you something, it's for a reason, and I don't always have to tell you what that reason is. Sometimes I'll tell you the reason.
Man, it's fucking hard, isn't it?
It's very hard.
That's hard.
But the hardest part, and this is something you're going to learn over time, the hardest part is not how you behave and how you parent. It's how other people parent. Well, Johnny can do this, and Sarah can do that, and Michael has this. And I say, I don't give a fuck about any of them because they're not my kid. And I'm charged with creating a human that provides a service that is productive and positive in society. And that is my responsibility as a parent when I bring a kid into this world, that they are not a drain on society, they are a positive impact. And the only way I know how to do that is to build a character within you that cannot be broken. And sometimes that means you don't get your phone for 2 months. And when you get it back, you got to be on your mother's porch at 5:30 in the morning, 4 days a week, so I can pick you up and go to the gym as a 7th grader. And you know what? He's done it every single day. The only person that's ever been late is this guy. One day he texted me at 5:55, are you still coming? I'm like, shit, I'll be there in 10 minutes. And that's from Sweetwater, so it was really 17 minutes, right? So good for him.
Yeah.
He made a commitment. Now, here's the worst part of that. Is he doing it because he understands what I'm trying to do, or is he doing it because he needs the phone so bad? I don't know.
You said,
but
right?
my point is, was he doing it because that was that was my condition to get the phone back? Well, he did it. Was he only doing it for the phone, or was he doing it because he understood why we're doing this working out? Because working out's not about getting bigger.
He did it for the phone.
Right.
Yeah. But now he's doing it.
Right. But now he stays doing
Yeah.
it because now he's addicted to it.
Yeah.
And it's something positive to be
Yeah.
addicted to, right? So you have to take little
He
wins.
might just like spending time with his dad.
Well,
For an hour in the
I
morning.
believe that there's part of that.
Yeah.
I believe that's, selfishly, I believe that there's part of it that's like, this is a me and him thing. He
I
gets
used to go in the woods with my dad. I never liked going in the woods. I used to carry bait, and I never liked carrying bait.
But
And I
it's
did it
something
because
you
I
do-
just like to hang out with my dad.
Yeah, that's cool. And you know what? You're a good son for that. You know what I mean? Like, there's some kids that just don't give a shit about anything. And I wonder if there's always been those kids. But I think now there's more of them because of this digital world. And you're not going to lose out by not having an Instagram account until you're 17 or 18. You're not going to lose anything. Trust me, you're going to learn how to use the app in like 14 seconds. And you're going to be able to interact with people immediately. And you're going to lose absolutely nothing except no stress while you're in middle school and high school worrying about how many people liked your post about being in the woods in Batstow kayaking, because Joe loves going kayaking with me. We go in the woods 40 times a summer. And he never brings his phone. Ever. We went to the Giants game the other day on Sunday because he loves Tommy Cutlets, even though he had a terrible day. My son has a Tommy Cutlets sweatshirt, right? And when he was named the starter, he goes, yo, can we go to the game? I have season tickets. And I hadn't sold the tickets yet. And I was like, you know what? Let's fucking go. He left his phone in the car to go in the game. So that would not have happened 3 months ago. But because he lost the phone for 2 months and now he's got it back, he understands existing in the world and experiencing an experience is better than documenting the experience. Better than interacting with someone who's not. He's at the game with his dad, his friend who's on the football team, and his sister. Now the sister's annoying, of course, but he's at a game with his family and his friend, and his favorite quarterback right now is playing, and he's with his dad, and he doesn't need his phone. And that was to me, that was the signal that like what I did was right, which only fueled this book even more because now I have a last story. It's like, hey, all these bad things happen, but look what happens positively at the end, right? So it's gonna be, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh. There's light at the end of the tunnel.
We can do something about this.
There's light, but it requires a certain level of discipline from the parent for you to say, who was in your class of Hawks?
Who, me?
Yeah,
Personal-
give me 2 people.
like players?
Anybody, yeah.
Ike and John Cipriano.
So let's say they both live in Hamilton. They got kids your age. And they're all friends. And both of them give their kids phones at 9 years old. And you say, you know what, I read this book and I believe this guy and there's some merit to what he said and I'm not going to do it. And your friends are like, yo, why don't you give, Johnny a phone? And you're like, he doesn't need it. And I don't think it's good for them in terms of mental health. And they keep breaking your balls. And then all of a sudden, your kid doesn't get invited to a birthday party. And then in school, your kid's getting left out of lunch and doesn't sit with the cool kids. Are you going to cave and get them a phone? Because they keep coming home saying, if I just had a phone, they would be friends with me. Are you going to cave? Because my point to you is everyone else does. And that's the problem. People you know and trust don't have the resolve to make a decision that they know is right. Because you can't tell anybody that they think giving a kid that kind of power is a good thing.
I can't speak
It's
on the future.
It's a lazy parenting thing to give a kid an iPad for 3 hours because you don't want to deal with them after 5 o'clock. Oh, if you just take the iPad, it'll be bedtime by 8 and I can have a glass of wine and sit on the back deck. Well, how about you just be a parent and read a friggin' book to them? How about you interact with your child? Yeah. How about you watch Blue's Clues or whatever the hell the show is these days?
A lot of things about parenting has been like different than I thought it was going to be. Like there's like a lot like, it's kind of hard to like get your kids to engage with you like all the time.
It depends on the age. What you have to do is adapt. You have to figure out what they're into and then use what they're into to spin it into something fun that you can do with them.
Well, like my son, I was like bad at that with, but then like I learned it through him and then I was like much better with my daughter.
The first one always gets the rawest deal, but you have the best relationship with them as they get older. So the other ones kind of take I have 5. I have 3 stepkids and 2 of my own kids. I have 22, 19, 18, 13, and 9. And so it's a crazy dichotomy. I mean, it's just a crazy spread. And trying to share time is one part of it. But the other part is you have a different relationship with every one of them. Mm-hmm. And my daughter, I'm the softest with. She gets away with the most. My son, I'm the hardest on. My stepson, I try to be his friend and give him like advice, like kind of bro advice.
How long have you been his stepdad?
Well, they've been active in my life for 4 years. I've married my wife 2 years ago.
Okay. Are you tough on them though? Like,
oh, no doubt. Yeah. But it's a different relationship. Yeah. Like I can't yell at them or tell but I do have firm convictions.
Do you feel like it's vested in like
I love them like I love my own children.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I love and the funny part about that is that not funny but ironic. When I got divorced, I said I'm not dating anyone with kids no matter what because I don't want to share any of my energy with anybody else than my own kids. It was my big thing was my kids. And I dated girls that had no kids and nothing ever really worked out all that well. And then I went to 16th of July in 2020 and locked eyes with this girl. And I was like, she could have 100 kids and it wouldn't matter because I know this is right. Like, I just know this is right? And she ends up having 3 older kids, which I'm like, oh, they're older. It won't be that big a deal. Older kids are worse because their problems cost so much more money. When Marissa gets sick or breaks her switch, all I got to do is get a fucking new screen or I got to take her to the doctor. When Lily crashes her car into a parking garage wall, she doesn't have a vehicle anymore and she's in Maine, right? So these are the problems are equivalent in seriousness, but the price tag is gigantically bigger. So, I'm hard on them in terms of what I require of them. You have to be honest with me. You don't have to tell me everything, but you have to be, I don't want you to lie to me. And when you need something, I need you to ask me as soon as you know you need it, not at the last minute, right? Because that's something people do all the time. They're so worried about asking the question that they make it so much harder for you to help them because they gave you no time to work it out. So I tell them that, I'm here to help you. I love you. When we can do something to help you, we will. When we can't, we will tell you, sorry, we can't help you. But you'll always have a roof over your head, food in your belly, and clothes to wear. And that's my only real responsibility to you. Now, if I can do more, if I can help you sign for a loan for your college, I'll do it. If I'm in a position where I don't have the availability to do that, I can't do it. Mm-hmm. Right? So it's an honesty thing. I'll be honest with you, and you be honest with me. And that's how I dealt with the adult kids, because they dealt with a very different situation in their previous house. So I said, my choice is hippie. Let's go peace and love, right? Let's be, but if something happens that I don't like, you're going to get the Italian, Sicilian, aggression, but I'm going to calm down and I'm going to say, I'm sorry I overreacted, but like, this is serious. Yeah. So I want you to understand that I don't want this to happen again. Yeah. Right? Those are the types of things I deal with. But it's nice because they give me insight in how to parent my younger kids, because they've been through those ages. Right? So they tell me, oh, well, when I was in middle school, this, or when I was in middle school, that, or, it helps me. Maybe I don't listen to them, but it helps me use that data to put into my program to say, all right, this is where are all the data points to make my decision. I just have more perspectives.
It's funny. Like, kids are very good at picking up cues of other. My daughter, my 3-year-old daughter, knows the cues of my 4-month-old daughter.
Oh, no doubt.
Like,
better than you.
Believable.
Better than you.
I was holding
energy.
her, right?
It's energy.
But like, I have a really,
they communicate.
I have
with each
a
other
very
differently
good
than
energy
you do.
with
Well,
my
of course.
infant. Like with Steven, I was a wreck.
Your first kid.
I was like, I had very bad energy. Like, I was nervous. I was stressed out. I was.
Well, that's how you got to learn how to get rid of that
With
before you walk in the door.
With Giada, I was better, right? And now with her, with the baby, I'm like, it don't bother me at all.
I got this.
Fucking,
I got this. Let's roll.
Right off.
Well, you're in the
shoulder.
trenches with the three at those ages. I mean,
rolls right off my shoulder. But like, I'm holding her, and she's like, like just not content, like and I'm like, what the fuck? And Giada goes like, she wants you to lay her right here, and she pointed at this shoulder, and I lay her head down,
and she was fine,
and she just chilled right the fuck. It's unbelievable, dude.
But that's only proof that energy between humans is the most important thing.
Crazy,
me and you could sit here and not talk on this podcast, and we can communicate just as well. Yeah. And I mean that. If you're open to receiving that energy.
Yeah. Not many people watch it.
No, but my point, I'm not looking for ratings, but no, but seriously, I've been to concerts where there's a group of people next to me, a Fish concert, there's a group of people next to me, everybody's loving each other, but like, you don't even talk to each other. And then during one song, you catch eyes with one person. And you just you're like, yeah. And like, you don't have to say anything, you don't have to do anything, but you like just made this connection where you're both on the same level and you completely understand what's going on in their brain. And you're like, yeah, that's a good dude. Like, I'm happy for you. And you just smile and you go back to looking at the show.
That happens at Dave Matthews Band's concert.
Of course.
Too.
But any concert, but even at a football game, anywhere you are, you could be at the grocery store and connect.
The Phillies playoff game, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, when you have energy like that building up in a stadium, right? The positivity is amazing, and the anticipation and the stress, and all of it. Everybody's feeding off of each other. And that's why when there's like one douche flute who's just like sitting there killing the vibe, you're like, bro, get out of our section. Like, you are not supposed to be at this concert, bro. Like, enjoy yourself. Like, I feel bad for you. Like, I went up to one guy one time at a fish show and I was like, are you okay? And he goes, yeah, why? I said, you look so angry. And like, your body language is so tense. And like, do you want to like smoke some weed or something? Like, do you need? He goes, I'm good. And like 20 minutes later, he looked at me. He goes, I have been thinking about a lot of things going on in my life. He goes, I appreciate you saying that. He goes, I just got it out of my head. I can enjoy the show now. And I was like, good for you, buddy. Like, you can feel that around you, and that's everywhere, even at work. Sometimes someone's having a bad day, you feel it that way. Maybe you don't press them and say, yo, you get that shit done yet? Like, no, maybe don't say it like that. Maybe say, yo, by tomorrow, can you have that done? Just that wording changes their reception of what you're saying, and now all of a sudden your project's done the next day. Instead of them being like, fuck this, he wants this done today. It's like, no, I feel that you're having a bad day. We're not saving lives. Like, get it to me tomorrow. As long as you get that to me tomorrow, you're good. And he's like, oh, thank God, I can just sit here and freaking mope for another freaking 2 hours. I'm like, I'm good. Right? So you got to read people, and that's why coaching is like that. I read players. Sometimes in practice, you can push a kid to the brink of insanity and he performs exceptionally well. And there's other kids that you push to the brink of insanity and they want to quit. And if you get them past that point, then you lost them and they hate you, right? So you got to know how to get the most out of a kid by reading their energy. Some days a kid just don't got it. It doesn't mean that he's a bad player. It doesn't mean that he's not the starter at that position. But that day, he just didn't have it. So instead of killing him, go pat him on the ass and say, yo, you're going to be fine. Just let this day go. We're going to get through it. We got 20 more minutes of practice. Just get through it, and tomorrow you'll be fine. And connecting with kids on that level makes such a big difference because most parents aren't connecting with their kids like that anymore. My mom was doing puzzles with me until 9:30 almost every day of high school. Not because she wanted to do a puzzle. She wanted to do something with me, right? She didn't know I don't even think she liked doing puzzles. I like doing puzzles, right? So she just did it with me to do that. Now they're like, here's your phone, go play video games for 6 hours. And I'm going to bed at 8:30. So if you stay up till 12, I'm not even gonna know. Well, he's got school at 7 o'clock at middle school. Maybe he shouldn't be up till 2 a.m. playing freaking Call of Duty, right? But that's a lazy parenting move and it's digital. And that's where that loops back to the book where it's just this digital ease of like lazy parenting is destroying our youth. And when they get to a point where they got to do work like you or like me, they're not going to be able to do it.
You know, a lot of like, have you looked into just the family dynamic, the change in the shift in the family dynamic where there's not one provider and one nurturer anymore?
My house?
No, like overall across the board.
Well, that's a big part of it, but I don't. But I also believe, and this is from personal experience, I believe that if you make your children the priority in your divorce and not your own emotions about how much you hate your spouse, which you actually don't.
I'm not talking about divorces.
No, but my point, all right, but just single parents or like, or
I'm talking about one person working, one person home with the kids.
Yeah, well, that doesn't happen anymore.
But don't you think that might have something to do with it?
Of course it does, because people are raising your kids that are not qualified to raise your kids at a daycare.
Well, not just that, but you're drained. At 5 o'clock, you're fucking drained.
You're beat. Absolutely, of course.
It's hard.
Life is hard. And then what I would tell you is in the fourth quarter with 1 minute left, I don't care if you're fucking tired, Steve. I need you to go block friggin' ISO right now. And are you going to do it or are you going to give up? Because when you get home at 5 o'clock and you're tired, but you got 3 kids, man the fuck up.
I'm going to take a shower
and that's my point. Drink a cup of coffee and man the fuck up. I'm sorry, but like having kids was not supposed to be a fucking carnival. This is a war. And you have to win. You have to win because your kids that you produce are your legacy and they are contributing to society. Are you contributing negatively or are you contributing positively? So at 5 o'clock when I'm tired as fuck, I'm still making dinner and going over my kids' homework because I have to, because it's my job. Because I want the result at the end of the day when they are in the workforce or they're married or they're parents, I want them to be as good as they can be. And so I have to leave them with that character building that is critical. And so you have to eliminate impacts like the phone that is 72 influences in your pocket and 4 outside that are positive. 72 negative, or let's say 68 negative and 4 positive in the pocket and 4 positive outside. Eliminate the 72 as long as you can. As long as you can, because your kid will develop better.
Justice in Study Hall?
Justice for Study Hall.
Justice for Study Hall.
Yeah, you'll see it come out.
Listen,
probably
dude,
next
I'm going to
year.
replace this Jason Kelsey pop with a Justice for Study Hall.
I will give you a signed copy, my friend.
I would love one. I can't wait to check it out, dude.
I'm working on it.
Thank you so much for
Thanks
coming
for
out,
having
dude. Dude, this is, you gotta come back.
Yeah, we're good, bro. I'll come back whenever you want.
Stas Part 2 coming soon.
Let's go.
Fuck yeah.
Thanks for having me, dude.
Appreciate it.
You got it.